Hi, this is Emma from Centered Within. Excuse me. I want to talk today about the space in between. Now, the space in between exists throughout, but the moment it feels huge and big because it's more of a collective thing. So, it's a space in between Christmas and New Year. People travel to see friends and family, they're not either working. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, there is always a space in between because your work might be impacted, or what you receive or the way that you do things is impacted. There's like a space in between. Now, this exists throughout because the space in between can be when you're moving homes. There's the bit that you know you're moving and you haven't moved yet. That space in between. It can be even when you are doing something new. It's that space in between. But at the moment, it feels bigger and more collective because more people are feeling it. Now, when you're feeling it, it can feel all the things: exciting, unusual, overwhelming, scary, worried, anxious, because it's just like the unknown. It's like, where am I and what am I doing? And even with the space in between, there can be miniature spaces in between as well. Because let's say you've gone to visit someone and then you're there and you're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing now. And then there's the next bit. So it can go up and down as well. And it can feel everything. You can feel tired. It's like all the feelings. Now, one thing is, like, a lot of people feel this in varying different ways. So when you check in with that, that makes you feel better because you think it's not just me, it's like more than just me. But people may not necessarily talk about it. And then when you think about it, it happens when you go from one thing to another. You think, oh, okay, I felt this before, it's okay. This time of year, because you can be out of routine, that can make you feel sort of like you're not too sure where you're at or what you're doing. Now, you may not be able to find a routine that supports you, but you may be able to find some form of routine that will support you, if that's the type of thing that does support you. Now, it can be a very minimal one, but one that may be throughout the day that you are able to take yourself away for 5 and 10 minutes, and just, you don't have to go and meditate, but maybe just go and have a drink. So you go and make a herbal tea, a coffee, a tea, whatever you drink, but you just go and find somewhere and sit down and be in that moment. Or you're somewhere where you can go off and walk. It's about finding elements, time in the day, moments in the day where you can reconnect yourself back to you. Because you may not be in your home, you may be somewhere else with other people. And the energy can be chaotic as well, because everyone's feeling things in different ways at different times. And you can feel the whole spectrum all in one go. So if a lot of people are feeling that, the energy is going to be electric. And that can be really overwhelming. But when you find that 5-10 minutes in the day to reconnect with you, go and look at a tree, go and touch a tree, hold a tree. You don't have to go and cuddle it, but you can at least make contact with it. Go for a walk, but connect your feet with the ground. Maybe if you like to write, go and write something, or maybe go and talk into your phone. Talk to someone else and say, do they feel this? Because some people don't know that they're feeling it, or just put it down to, it's just that time of year, or this is just what happens, without understanding this actually is a thing. And more people feel it. It's just that maybe it's not discussed, or maybe it's swept under the carpet and forgotten about. And if you don't feel comfortable talking, then maybe just write it or talk it into your phone. This is where it's good to go and follow people and check them out, like astrologers, intuitive healers, coaches, whoever it is that you feel drawn to, because they'll be talking about it as well. They'll be talking about how they're feeling. Like, you can't remember what day of the week it is. You have to sort of keep checking. I must admit, I had to do that because I was thinking, because the bins go out different days, and I was thinking, oh, okay, and I was like, oh, what day is it? Because I knew they had to go out for a Wednesday morning, and I was thinking, is it Tuesday or is it Monday? Because things are like that, and then shops are shut, or only certain shops are open, or no shops are open. Where you would have necessarily maybe gone for a coffee, you can't go. So maybe make a coffee in a thermos and go and sit in your car. I mean, if it's nice weather where you're living, you can maybe go out, but if it's not, maybe go and sit in your car, maybe go and drive to a park, so at least you have a good view. Maybe keep warm or dry. Or if you're not able to get out, because some parts of the world have got horrific weather at the moment, then it's just finding a space within your home, if that's possible. And I always remember my first life coach saying to me that it can be as simple as chopping, chopping your vegetables. In that moment, you are chopping the vegetables. So let's say you're in the kitchen cooking, but you really are cooking. You're not cooking and thinking about the other 3,000 trillion billion things to do. But in that moment, you're slicing the vegetables. You're placing them somewhere. You're finding the next ingredient. So even using the moment and truly tuning into the moment, because when it's the space in between and there's potential chaos or huge amount of energy, it can be, we can quite easily give away our energy as well, because we can lose ourselves in that moment. We don't know what's going on, so we can lose a lot more of ourselves. We don't actually know what we're doing. We can be a bit like, we don't feel attached, or we're going from one thing to another. But in that moment, the best way that we can find is to pull ourselves back. And what we can do is like be in that moment, drinking that coffee, but we're actually drinking the coffee, stirring the coffee, tasting it, the temperature. Is it a different coffee? Is it too hot, too cold? Maybe sitting down. Where are you sitting down? And in that moment, you're giving yourself the space to be you in that moment. And when you do that, when you have that practice, it allows you to reclaim an element of you when so much else is going on. And it's a practice that is good to have, but it's not going to work on the first time, because you'll do it and then someone else will come in, or your phone will go and it will just go, you'll be lost in the moment. So you have to practice it and practice it and practice it and practice it, because it's not going to happen in one go. And when it's a practice tool, then what will happen, you may not use it for a little while, but something will come along and you think, oh gosh, okay. And you'll know what to do and you'll use that, and it works for you really, really well. It supports you in that moment. But even the recognition that the gap in between, the space, can be an unusual time for you and many others, that in itself can be a support. Just knowing that is support in itself. And it will pass, because it does, it always does. It just is, sometimes it's elongated when the gap is as big as it is. But there'll be pockets within that you'll feel yourself stabilise and feel like, oh, okay. But then it may pick up again. And if it does, you may recognise it and understand it and accept that it's actually okay as well. You're not doing anything wrong. You haven't done anything wrong. It's like, oh, I should be really enjoying myself, but why am I not? You and many other people are feeling it. It's just that people aren't talking about it. They're not talking about it because they maybe not understand it. They maybe just think that's just what it is. This is what this type of year is about. And it's good as well because maybe the next time you're in this situation, that maybe you're in between something, that space in between, you'll recognise the feeling. It may not feel so huge, or it may do, depending on what it is, but you'll recognise that. And you think, oh, okay, I can use this, what I was doing before, and that might support me. And you might think, great, I've got something. It's not going to solve what's going on. It's to support you through what's going on. And actually, you may be able to deal with certain elements of it far better than you ever did before. I'm just seeing if there's anything else that needs to come through. No, I think that's it. As always, sending you so much love. Bye.